Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explainer series. I am Kushagra Goel. And the reason why we couldn't upload yesterday and today we are doing it in this format is because we are now officially under lockdowns. As the cases have increased, the situation in the country, as you all must be aware, is getting darker by the each day. Nevertheless, we need to take all the precautions that we can take in our best possible manner. Ask the people who can get vaccinated and are eligible to get vaccinated, while at the same time it becomes really important for all of you who are appearing for the examination to follow all the precautions and take care of your health in the best possible manner. So on that note, we'll begin with today's newspaper analysis. So on the right hand side of the newspaper is the big news that the UK government has finally given permission for extradition of Nirav Modi in PNB case. Extradition, once again, is a case when an individual who is a citizen of another country or is a citizen of our country. So for example, Nirav Modi, he is liable or due for trial for crimes he committed in India. So the Indian government will ask the government wherever he or she, that person is, to ask them to send this person to their country so that he can be tried for the crimes he committed there. The only criteria that needs to be seen is one, is there a case that can be made out worthy of a trial? The court in United Kingdom had earlier determined that yes, that is the case, and now the Secretary of State of United Kingdom have given the permission that he must be extradited to India for his crimes. Now the crime of Nirav Modi in the PNB Bank case. What is the PNB case? Now the PNB case was very simple. Nirav Modi, just like any other businessman, took loans from PNB. But instead of giving the collateral that had to be furnished, he did not do that and kept on taking loans on account of it. The second thing that he did was, instead of the collateral that he was supposed to give, he furnished such documents that were inflated letters of approval. In those letters, basically what he did was he artificially boosted the price of his own commodity. Let's say you produce a shirt which is 300 rupees per unit, then you sell it to your own brother, sell it at 400 rupees. Then you make that brother sell it once again to you at 800 rupees. And then in the document you show that the shirt is actually 800 rupees per unit. So you have artificially boosted the price of such a commodity. It is this way that Nirav Modi defrauded the PNB Bank and took millions of loans out of her. And therefore he is now due for trial for committing fraud on the bank and not paying back those loans. But there is a caveat here. He has the permission to approach the UK High Court until the next 14 days. So in the next 14 days, he can file for appeal before the High Court, which we all know he will in all probability do, because obviously once he's in India, he knows that he has committed the crimes and he will be jailed. His trial will take place. So in that regard, he'll try to delay it as much as he can. Now on that note, these are the two details that we need to be aware of at this point of time, and wait for further details about the decision of the High Court. Now, it is unlikely the High Court will reject the case in the sense that it would overturn the decision of the Secretary of State, but we need to wait. Then on the left hand side, there is news for students of class 12th of CISE board that the exams for class 10 and 12 have also been deferred, and the review of this will now take place on June 1, same as the CBSE board. So this is update for all the students of class 12. Then moving on, apart from this, on the newspaper's front page, there is one more news that is relevant for us. Bharat Biotech, which is the which is the manufacturer of the second vaccine that has been approved, Covaxin, will now double its vaccine production. And to do that, 3 public sector run facilities will be provided to them. What are these public sector facilities? The Hafkind Biopharmaceutical Corporation Mumbai, Indian Immunological Limited Hyderabad, and Biologicals Limited Bulandshahr. They will also be now making the Covaxin. This is a delayed decision by the government because the need for vaccines for Indians was already there. We knew that 130 Indians reside in the country and majority of them would require vaccination. Nevertheless, the decision has now been taken and 65 crore specifically will be granted to Hafkind to ramp up the production. But these facilities will only be able to do or produce the vaccines by latest by the month of August. Moving on, apart from this, on the front page is all about COVID, which is the main highlight. Different states reporting weekend lockdowns and gap in oxygen supplies and medical such as remdesivir. Then moving on to the other national news, also primarily is about this, asking for more support. So we turn to the editorial front. So on the editorial page, on the left hand side, steep climb. This is regarding Darjeeling and the Gorkha politics will test the BJP's vision for West Bengal and beyond. Now, the political update regarding this is not relevant. Who gets power in the Darjeeling and the Gorkha region is not relevant for us. What is more relevant for us is the 2 details that are provided here, which is the 2 experiments in the past allowing autonomy in the region under the Gorkha Hill Council, that is 1988 to 2012, and Gorkhaland Territorial Administration established in 2012. Now, 2 things need to be understood. One, this is regarding the separate state demand of the Gorkha region, that a separate state should be carved out of West Bengal for the people at this area. Now, this demand has usually been violent and therefore the support of Bengalis in the region is something that has been absent. So, 2 constitutional provisions need to be understood. When you want to create a separate state, the central government needs to grant approval for it after a resolution by the assembly does so. So, as the political parties, the mainstream political parties in West Bengal till now, based on the majority population of the region, have not supported this demand. Assembly resolution for such has not been forthcoming. However, this could change in the coming elections if the next part, if there is a change in power. Nevertheless, the provision for us that needs to be understood is 1. There needs to be an assembly resolution passed in the state assembly. That resolution then needs to go to the central government and then the parliament decides whether to create the new state or not. So the parliament has power to create a new state. As we know, the most recent example of it was the division of the United Jammu and Kashmir province into 2 union territories. It was by an act of parliament. So that is one constitutional provision. The second one is about autonomy in the region. So certain districts in the northeastern region or in the country can be granted extra autonomy for their affairs. That can also happen through central governance, or for example, a region or district can be given to the president for governance or through the president. Such provisions are related to Article 371 of the Indian Constitution. Alright, so 2 things: first about creation of new state and secondly about district autonomy. That is Article 371. Then moving on the left hand side, exiting Afghanistan. So Joe Biden, the current US president, has not overturned the decision of his predecessor, that is Donald Trump, and has given a deadline that by 9/11 the US forces will be out of Afghanistan. So one, this is an admission that, see, whatever be the resolution, even if a resolution happens or not, at least US and the NATO forces are out, which is an admission that for 20 years, the enemy they fought, they have failed to defeat it. Now, the second thing is the US initiated regional peace plan, something that we had discussed earlier in the month of March, that US had proposed a UN-led regional council in which India is also there. So Iran, Pakistan, Russia, China, and India, all of them along with United Nations as the mediator, were supposed to meet in Turkey along with the Afghan government and Taliban. But Taliban has now categorically stated that it will not participate in any such process. So, which defeats the purpose, because you want a resolution between the two fighting parties, which is Afghanistan government and Taliban. If one of such parties is not willing to come to the negotiating table itself, then that defeats the entire purpose of the process. But we need to wait for April 24 and see what happens. So April 22nd to 24 becomes really important from current affairs point of view. Why? One, it would also be the date on which US President hosts the climate summit, and then on 24th the UN led peace process. So these two events will be part of the last week of April. Then moving on, the main editorial, the roots of decentered international order. This analyzes that, see, China has ambitions of leading or becoming a world hegemon, and that America's hegemony of the world is now ending. That since the end of Second World War, US has dominated the world, but that dominance may be short-lived. However, because China is a non-democratic entity, it is the onus of democratic countries such as India and other democracies such as Brazil, South Africa, who need to realign themselves, get together to have a multilateral international order. The purpose of BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, was to have a multilateral world order. But we know that China as a country, its ambition is now not just to share power with others, but actually dominate everyone else. And therefore, India is one on whom the onus lies, being a liberal democracy, to ensure that such hegemonies do not exist, and that it needs to realign itself along with such other democracies. So that is the theme of the editorial. The talk of a multilateral world order begins with the Bandung Conference of 1955 as per the editorial. The Bandung Conference was also the precursor to the non-aligned movement which Jawaharlal Nehru had steered India towards. And it was this that got the newly independent states of Asia and Africa out of colonialism and to give them a voice internationally. So that movement now pandered away once the Cold War was over, because there was no need for alignment or non-alignment from the First World or the Second World camp anymore. But nevertheless, this one is generally about what China is heading to and how multilateral world order needs to come up. This is international affairs in general. The recognition is about China's rise and how other countries need to counter it. Then moving on, vaccine diplomacy that needs specific clarifications. This is questioning the government's decision about why it exported vaccines when India was in short supply of them. So the editorial gives two explanations for it. One is that government has done part of the dispatch of vaccines from India is part of the COVAX initiative, under which India is bound to export vaccines to different countries. India has also received COVAX dispatch, that is the majority amount of COVAX under COVAX initiative vaccines, that is 10 million of them have been given to India only. So that shows that one, the reason we had to export these vaccines was because of the COVAX initiative. All right, we have discussed about the COVAX initiative multiple times. The second part of it is also something that Prime Minister Modi and our External Affairs Minister also highlighted, which is the concept of Vasudev Kutumbakam. That see, unlike other countries of the world, India knows and recognizes its importance as a land for world peace and promotion of welfare of mankind. And therefore, we can't see individuals or humans from purely country purview. This is something that Jawaharlal Nehru in Constituent Assembly had also talked about, which is that this ancient land attains the rightful and honored place in the world and makes its full and willing contribution to the promotion of mankind and world peace. And Prime Minister Modi recently reiterated this, that we must think of the entire humanity, not merely as those who are on our borders. Humanity as a whole must be at the center of our thinking and action. That in light of this and the COVAX initiative, we had to export vaccines, something that we will continue to do under the COVAX initiative because we are obligated to do so. But at the same time, our domestic demand needs to come up, so that and domestic supply also needs to come up, so that there is no shortage of vaccines, at least in India, which the government is doing. So that is the second editorial. Then on the ground zero, it is talking about the challenges that are faced in the state of Mizoram. Then moving on the other national news. So the Indian Meteorological Department, which comes up with the forecast of monsoon for India, has stated that India is likely to receive a normal monsoon, which is 96 to 104% over the long period average of 88 centimeters of rainfall in the country. In light of that, so that is one good news, hopefully. Then moving on, statement by our External Affairs Minister which shows India's concern in the region. One, that democracy must prevail in Afghanistan, and two, that we need to ensure security in the region. That the region itself should not once again fall into the violent stature that it preceded during the 1990s. And that is the concern that External Affairs Minister talked about at the conversation, that see, a democratic solution is the one that is the best for us, and that we are now in uncharted territory because there will be a power vacuum in Afghanistan which needs to be not seized to extremist forces or troublemakers. And this was a pointed response to Pakistan, which had fought and supported Taliban to initiate terror and also to take the region into a violent path. So two things come out. One is about India's stand once again for a democratic solution in Afghanistan, and secondly about not letting other countries or the region of Afghanistan itself delve into violence. Then moving on the sad news, former CBI chief Ranjit Sinha has passed away at the age of 68. He was a 1974 IPS officer and had led the CBI during his tenure. One of the famous statements was that, see, the Supreme Court in a judgment had stated that CBI is a caged parrot that speaks in the master's voice. The master, the central government, and he had also confirmed that whatever the Supreme Court has said is correct, which shows the political influence over CBI which he had highlighted. Apart from that, on the national news, more about elections and then more about COVID. On the right hand side, research is ongoing about finding out the cause for blood clots in different people after COVID vaccine receipt. That is it because of the vaccines, or is it because of the structure and composition of each individual? Because the cases are rare, however it is happening. It is in this light that US has stopped the use of Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and Germany has stopped the use of the Covishield or the AstraZeneca vaccine. So those details about the vaccine and whether they are safe or not. Then moving on the international news, more updates from Myanmar for us, which is that the leaders of the erstwhile government of Myanmar have now formulated a shadow government or a government in exile to counter the junta suppression of the country. So that is one major thing. This is in light of the ongoing struggle for democracy against the military coup. Then on the right hand side, Russia bans FBI chief, other US officials as tension soared. This is about US and Russia once again getting into hot territory about tit for tat sanctions. All of this keeps happening. None of this is so that much relevant for us. However, one more thing that becomes relevant for us is that Yoshihide Suga, who is the Prime Minister of Japan, will be meeting US President, and it is likely that they will announce the first physical summit of Quad. The first virtual one was held on March 12th. We discussed that at great length. And during that meeting, the leaders had confirmed that they would meet in person in this year, and the date for that is likely to come out for us soon. Then following up from Iran, Iran says it has started enriching uranium to 60%. It's a bid to create pressure on US. The US government has still not revoked sanctions, something that Iran wants, so that it can comply with the Iran nuclear deal. Once nuclear enrichment takes place, there is nothing going back. So that risk now is becoming real by the day. Then on the economic news, RCEA Subramaniam has pointed out that Indian economy is in a better shape than during the 2020s COVID wave, that the economy is more resilient. That needs to be seen when the growth prospects of the economy actually come into light, whether Indian economy is more resilient or not. We also should know that growth figures will be on, because we are in recession, we had gone back to from what we were. Growth needs to be checked into different territory. That growth can only mean that we have gone or reached the level that we already were and then beyond. Something similar to that is what is China's GDP figures of Q1, that is 18.3%. That from last year's pandemic fueled slump, this year their economy is growing to 18.3%. But how much of this is real growth needs to be seen in comparison to the year before the COVID crisis came. So in absolute terms, you need to measure, because percentage wise, let's say you were at 100, then you reduce to 90, and then you grow once again at a record number of 7. That you are still less than 100 or the level that you were before the crisis hit you. And so that needs to be seen when we check economic growth figures. Apart from that, on the sporting front, nothing of real note for us. So I'll conclude for the day. Once the weekend lockdown will be over, we'll once again be back to our normal. Hopefully no real lockdown comes into picture, so that we can provide you with analysis and in-depth analysis. It is on this note only the revision series videos have not been uploaded. They were scheduled to be recorded. Part of them have been recorded. Part of them were scheduled to be recorded over the weekend. Hopefully during the weekday we'll be able to conclude the recording of them, and then the series will happen for all of you, because we don't want to abruptly pause the series. We wanted all the episodes of it to be recorded and then uploaded for you all, so that there is no break. But now, as we are in lockdown, we have not been able to do that. So that is the update for you all on the revision series side. So on that note, I will conclude for the day, and hopefully we see you all soon. Take care of yourselves. In today's newspaper, once again, Afghanistan, Myanmar, two very important events. Something that has been in news for the entire year now become really important. And along on the national front, it is about the extradition of Nirav Modi. So add to your notes on that point. And that is it for the day. Thank you so much, and take care of yourselves.